addition to being the guy who rants about the Lions, you also had another identity with as one half of the Sports Doctors. Talk about your on-air partnership and your partnership with Terry Foster.
Well, I was best man at Terry's wedding. I'm godfather to his daughter, Arthurina, as I still call her, but Celine. And, Terry and I have a very unique relationship because I knew him, through the circles that we ran in, because we ran in the same circles. But I really didn't get to know him until Lorna Gladstone said that she wanted to do a show. She wanted me and, specifically Terry to do it. They wanted an outlet for Terry because he was talented, but he was raw. And so they said, Art, would you kind of do that? And I met Terry. I don't think the movie theater is there anymore, but it was in Southfield. We sat down. I talked to him, and we came up with the Sports Doctors. He wanted to do the Sports Doctors, and so I was Dr. Regner. He was Dr. Foster. I bought lab coats. I still have it, the white lab coat. He has it. And we wrote the Sports Doctors open. Swindell voiced it, the siren and all that kind of stuff. And immediately our first guest was Scotty Bowman.
Wow.
We were originally on from 6 to 10 at night. They wanted to, I guess this must have been right after the demise of the Mega Man, Ike Griffin. And I hope Ike's doing real well. I think fans know he suffered a pretty nasty stroke there, but he's well on the road to recovery. Ike, a very interesting character too. But Terry and I and, Scotty came on, and we just had a very much and I think because we're the same age and we grew up in Detroit, he grew up in Detroit. I grew up for the most part in Livonia, but there's always that thing. Are you a product of your environment or are you a product of your genes? And I think obviously you're a product of both. Health-wise, and the way you look, it's not your environment really. But I do think that Terry and I, our reference points were the same. We knew the history of the team. We could relate to each other very, very quickly. Even though we didn't know each other well, we knew each other real well after doing the first couple of shows together because we grew up in the same environment.
Sure. Well, Terry's a quality person.
We were both. And I really think, and I don't mind saying it, I think our show was just as good as any show that was on.
I do too.
WDFN.
It was must listen to for me. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. It was must listen to.
We always had fun. When I got into the Powerpuff Girls really big time, I just, and that was because, I nicknamed the lion helmet, this lion on the side of the helmet, Bubbles.
Yes.
Because it didn't look menacing, and it looked like it was chasing, popping bubbles in the air, leaping for bubbles.
To this day, people still think Bubbles is their mascot because of
right. I know. Mark Spindler thought that was really the name of the Lions, the Bubbles. Everybody called Bubbles. Boudini, Drew Sharp. Everybody referred to him back then as Bubbles. That was because I called him Bubbles. Well, when the Powerpuff Girls came out, they have a character, Bubbles, and her color is Honolulu blue. And, Blossom and Buttercup, like Buttercup is red, Blossom was green, and Bubbles, the blonde-haired Powerpuff Girl, I can't believe I'm talking about this, but she was her color was blue. It was like the lion's blue. And I thought that was really appropriate. And I would go on tangents, and Terry just thought I was crazy. And then people started, and I still have some of this, started sending me because, they're little girls. They're the Powerpuff Girls. They're really tiny, and they would fly like this. Well, people started sending me mock-ups of the lion's helmet. Instead of having Bubbles the lion on it, they would have Bubbles the Powerpuff Girl.
Wow.
And it was perfect. It was just perfect, And so I think that's why Terry and I got along, because I would take it to ridiculous degrees.
Yeah.
I really did, And I think as you get older, like when I was small, if Michigan lost a game, I wouldn't talk for weeks,
Right.
Or,
crushing,
I would get way too upset or way too into it. I think as you get older, and especially if you cover athletes, and the thing that's refreshing, they don't like to lose. They don't. Most of the time they understand why they lost, but they always have another game to play. You know, there's always a point that they can redeem themselves. We as fans just sit there and let it fester and linger long, like Spartan Bob. I mean, that game, I replayed that play over and over and over. Back then VCR was, I taped it, and to a point of like people were worried about me, and and then TJ Barrett, never made that first down in that, so there's still moments where I'll get upset, but overall I have a much better understanding of athletics and athletes, and I have nothing but respect for those guys. I mean, I know they make, money and they play a kid's game, but they're one hit or one play away from injury or their career being over. And Satchel Paige, buddy, you better be looking over your shoulder because there's somebody coming after you.